It's not the supermarkets. I know. That's where you feel the pain because that's where you see the prices and feel rage at how little your money buys these days. But it's not the supermarkets. The Prime Minister wants you to blame the supermarkets. He's in full campaign mode and he's making nonsense promises about introducing price controls to stop price gouging. But he's deflecting the blame so that you don't realize that in reality, he is the villain, not the supermarkets. My name's Topher Field. This is the Topher Project, and I help people like you to make sense of the world as it changes around you. Prime Minister Albanese is threatening to introduce Venezuela-style price controls in order to stop supermarkets from price gouging. And if you don't believe me, hear it from the man himself.
If you've ever felt ripped off at the supermarket, this one's for you. Labor will make supermarket price gouging illegal, so you're not paying more than you should. Taking advantage of people when there's not enough competition is just not on. Right now, there are no laws against excessive pricing, but we have your back and we're going to fix it, so you get a fair deal at the checkout.
Authorised by Anthony Albanese, LP Canberra.
Yeah. You get that? Not only are price controls a very, very bad, no good idea for reasons which I'll go into in another video, the fact is that this promise of his, it's based entirely on a lie. The lie that our supermarkets are ripping us off. And I get it. It's easy to trick people into thinking that they're being ripped off. All you have to do is say that Coles and Woolworths made a profit of nearly $3 billion last financial year, and hey presto, out come the pitchforks and the mob with their burning torches, ready to burn the price gouging supermarkets at the stake. But not so fast. Supermarkets play a central role in the lives of most Australians, and as such, an enormous amount of money flows through them every year. About $110 billion in the 2023-24 financial year, which means that $3 billion in profit, which we're supposed to be up in arms about, is just 2.5% on their revenue. Now, that adds up to be a lot of money because their turnover is so enormous, but actually running a business on such razor-thin margins is astonishingly dangerous, especially when the survival of that business is so important to the quality of life of all Australians. And to those who insist that these supermarkets are price gouging, I have a simple question. Why don't you go and buy from the local butcher, baker, and greengrocer? There's plenty of local businesses who would love to have just a fraction of that $110 billion supermarket turnover and have that come their way instead. What's that? You can't afford to shop there because those smaller independent grocers are actually more expensive than the supermarkets? Isn't that funny? We're supposed to believe that supermarkets are evil price gougers taking advantage of consumers and the lack of local competition. And yet no one else can offer the same products as cheaply as the supermarkets are doing it. How can both of those things be true at the same time? Answer, they aren't. Supermarkets are not price gouging. In fact, we just had a 1-year-long inquiry into the supermarkets which concluded that they could not find any evidence of price gouging. Now, it is true that Australian supermarkets are more profitable as a percentage of their turnover than many international counterparts in Europe and the USA, and you might hasten to claim that this is proof of price gouging, or at the very least, that the supermarkets in Australia are abusing their market power, but again, not so fast. These other supermarket chains overseas, which operate on tighter margins, they're in markets with far larger populations who are far more densely spaced and benefit from economies of scale which simply are not possible in Australia. And ask yourself whether you would really want a business as crucial as a supermarket to operate at less than a 2.5% profit margin in any case. To put such razor-thin margins into perspective, making 2.5% of your turnover in a year is like spending the whole year just covering your costs, 97.5% of the year, just to break even. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and most of December. Just covering your costs. And finally, 2 days before Christmas, you've covered all your costs, and from then on until New Year's, just 10 days later, you get to make a profit. And then when the new year begins, you start all over again, working 97.5% of that year just to cover your costs again so you can make money for 10 days at the end. Now, I'm not asking you to feel sorry for the supermarkets. Obviously, they think it's worth the effort because they keep doing it, and in the end, they make a lazy few billion for their troubles. But think about it. I mean, really consider just how delicately balanced that is, and whether you would really want a cack-handed politician like Anthony Albanese getting involved in prices and supermarket operations. There's far more room for things to go horribly wrong than there is for things to get any cheaper. But okay, if the supermarkets aren't the villains here, then who is? Why is everything so expensive if the supermarkets aren't the ones ripping us off? Well, it's because your money is losing value. You see, if the price of one thing goes up, well, that's the price of that one thing going up. But if the price of everything goes up, well, that's not prices going up. That's the value of money coming down. And that is happening because of the money printing and deficit spending of the last few years, made worse by the fact that Albanese right now is promising to ramp up the spending, and the budget outlook is nothing but red ink as the country goes deeper into debt for at least the next decade. We pay for all government spending one way or another, either through taxes or through inflation. But nothing from the government is free. It always comes at a cost. And thanks to inflation from deficit spending, that cost is being felt at the checkout every day. And that's not just my opinion. Here is the real per capita income for all of the G7 countries. Australia is the line in blue. Yeah. Every country experienced a dip as a result of COVID impacting productivity, but only Australia has taken a nosedive since then. And our disposable income is the worst of them all. That is what our situation really is after accounting for inflation, or in other words, after accounting for the government's reckless money printing. Your groceries are not unaffordable because the supermarkets are price gouging, but because your government has stripped your money of its value. And if the election promises being made right now are anything to go by, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. We must not allow our politicians to blame scapegoats like the supermarkets for their failings. That's how places like Venezuela ended up voting for people like Hugo Chavez and plunging into genuine poverty, because they let their politicians meddle in the price of groceries. Literally. We are not immune from sharing Venezuela's fate ourselves, and it will be the politician that's promising to save us from the consequences of the government's own actions who will destroy us if we let them. Now, right now, there's not much we can do but tighten our belts and learn our lessons. Nothing from the government is free, and if they say it is, it's because we're paying for it in the form of inflation, higher supermarket prices, and lower standards of living. So the next time you get angry at the supermarket checkout, make sure you get angry at the government, because they are the ones who caused this. My name's Topher Field, this is the Topher Project, and I help people like you to make sense of the world as it changes around you. I am 100% viewer supported, so thanks for watching. Please consider buying my books and merch from goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. Follow me on all of the socials via @TopherField, and of course, please like, subscribe, leave me a comment, and I'll see you in the next one.